Hey family, thanks for checking out House Culture. We're Bobby and Shira Thompson.
We're all about helping you create a healthy culture in your home.
That's right. We would be honored if you would follow us on social media, give us a share, or even go to our YouTube page and hit that subscribe button. Today, we are kicking off a brand new series of talks called The Truth About Following Jesus.
I like it. The same truth that apply to following Jesus can also apply to our family life. And I really believe as followers of Christ, we can become so much more healthy as a family with these truths.
Yeah, so we're going to give 12 steps.
Not today.
Over the next 4 weeks and things that we can apply to following Christ and things that we can apply to creating a healthy culture in our homes. So today we're going to start with talking about a man named Peter. And if you know anything about Peter, his life was full of ups and downs. He was just in some crazy seasons. He was always had something to say. And we're going to be looking in the book of John. And in that book, we see that Peter was boasting that he would never leave Jesus. Jesus called him to be a follower. He called him to be one of his disciples. And Peter was like, I'm never going to leave you. I'll be with you forever, no matter what. But when Jesus was led away to be crucified, Peter watched from a distance. He was close enough to see Jesus, but he wasn't close enough to be seen with Jesus. And so in John chapter 18, 19, and 20, Peter has denied following Christ. Jesus has been crucified. Jesus has been risen, and he has appeared 2 separate times. And then in John chapter 21 is where we're going to follow and see what Peter did. And we want to look at 3 things today of the truth about following Jesus. So let me read to you just the first couple verses. In John chapter 21, it says this. After this, those things that had just happened, Jesus revealed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias. He revealed himself in this way. Verse 2, Simon Peter, Thomas, and Nathanael from Canaan, Zebedee's sons, and 2 others of his disciples were together. Verse 3, I'm going fishing, Simon Peter said to them. We're coming with you, they told him. They went out, got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. So the first thing, the truth about following Jesus that we can apply to our Christian faith and we can apply to our home is this, is that failure is part of the process. Failure is part of the process. Up to this point in this story, we haven't heard from Peter in quite a long time because he was very discouraged that he denied Jesus. And here's the thing, discouragement can be a huge distraction in our life. It made Peter just unsure of his relationship with God. It made him think only about himself. It made him very self-focused. It made Peter unable to help anybody else. But here's what we got to remember, is that Jesus chose Peter even though he knew he would fail. Jesus still chose him to be his disciple. And we often view failure as the end of the process. But Jesus is calling us to follow him knowing that we're going to fail, knowing that failure is a part of the process. So inside our family unit, right? Think about that. As a spouse, how much do we fail? As a parent, how many times do we say, oh man, I really messed that up? Failure is going to happen, and it's not the end. You're not the worst parent ever. You're not the worst spouse ever. Jesus is still crazy about you. Just like you're not going to kick your kid out of the house when they fail, Jesus isn't going to kick you out of the family of God when we fail. So we must realize that failure is a part of the process. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the process. So that's number 1, the truth about following Jesus. Number 2.
When you move, others follow. And in verse 3, it says that Simon Peter said, I'm going fishing. And then they said, oh, we're going to go with you. And I think this has been so true if you've lived long at all, that my choices affect more than just me. My choices also affect more than just me and my husband and my family. Our choices really affect everybody around us at our workplace, in our home with our friends, also in our church. Negativity breeds negativity. Discouragement breeds discouragement. There's so many things about this that when I am going, I need to make sure that I may be discouraged, but I don't need to, be a Debbie Downer to everybody. I need to be careful of my attitude. I may have been hurt by a friend, but I need to deal with that correctly and in a godly way. I want to be a good example to my kids. And I think as a spouse, when we move in a healthy direction, ultimately, after my relationship is where it needs to be with God, where I brought him my feelings and my hurts, then I need to make sure that my relationship with my spouse is where it needs to be. And then in turn, it will rub off and the children will see what a healthy family looks like. It does not look like a perfect family. It just means that we are trying to do right. And we know that if we only point out everybody's flaws, we're going to see those. If we only point out all the flaws in our church, that's what everybody's going to see. And I think when I move, people follow. I become positive, people follow. I start to give. It's just, it's the way God made us. And so I just want to remember that as it comes to our family life. Make sure we know that other people are following and watching us, not even on social media, just in our community.
Peter was like so discouraged, but he was like, I'm going fishing. And all these guys were like, I'm going too. And so we can apply that with our walk with Christ. We can apply that in our home. Like if we love people the way that Jesus calls us to, man, that's what's going to teach our kids to love people the way that Jesus calls them to.
Our kids think it's totally natural to do some of the things I do. Like that's not even, you don't do that? Everybody does that.
Right. So when you move, others follow. And then 3, the last thing for today is this. When you return to your old ways, you come up empty. When you return to your old ways, you come up empty. The last part of that verse 3, this is crazy. Simon says, I'm going fishing. They said, we're coming with you. And then this is what it says. They went out, they got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. They were discouraged and they went back to an old place that they thought was comfortable, that they thought was familiar, because they weren't willing to change. And they came up empty. Think about that. These were professional fishermen and they came up empty. Why is that? Because if we're trying to find our peace in anything other than Jesus, we will always come up unsatisfied, dissatisfied. Nothing in our life is going to bring us satisfaction like Jesus. Our spouse isn't going to bring us the satisfaction that Jesus brings. Our kids, no relationships outside of Jesus are going to bring us to that level. If we try to find our peace in anything else, it's all smaller than Jesus. And so I want to just challenge you today. Are we willing to make the change? Peter and his friends, they weren't willing to make a change. They went back to old places looking for satisfaction. And how many of us do that? Man, and so as a home builder, as someone who's trying to build a healthy culture, find your satisfaction in Jesus. Teach your kids to find satisfaction in Jesus, not you as a parent. As a marriage, let's not try to find our true life satisfaction in one another. Find it in Jesus first and allow him to point us in that direction. So this is part 1 of our 4-week series of the truth about following Jesus, how as Christians, as people who are chasing after the Lord, there's so much we can learn. And we're going to continue to look in John chapter 21. And so we just want to encourage you, be creators this week. Next week's episode will be part 2 on the truth about following Jesus. And so thank you so much for being with us today. As always, if we can help in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. Our prayer for you is Numbers chapter 6. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift his countenance upon you and give you peace. God bless you. We'll see you next week.